siblings, cousins suffered from migraines. And so I think that's what it means by genetic, like familial. It runs in the family.
Yeah. And so what was happening with these migraines? Tell me what your life was like and what did they feel like?
Oh, they would just take over my entire life day as a child. I would come home from school sick. I wouldn't be able to get off the couch. I had to lay in a dark room, sometimes with like a hot water bottle or an ice pack at the back of my neck. And it was really quite cumbersome because as somebody who grew up with a mother who's a nurse, sometimes it was like, you have to push through. You're not, you know, you're not really sick. And yeah, it was hard. It was hard to push through the pain. And my body, I remember a doctor saying to me, like, you will just have this for the rest of your life.
Mm.
You might want to not drink wine or have chocolate because that'll make it worse. They're high histamine foods, and so they're just known to affect people with migraines. But that just wasn't the case for me at all. And I'm happy to say that I do not get migraines anymore. And so, my particular journey led me to I've gone through a few things actually. So, but with the migraines, it was food related for me, and it was gluten and oranges. And
Mm.
so, and weirdly odd that it was oranges. I remember
Yeah.
being sitting in meditation and just connecting with my body and seeing this orange in my mind, and I didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, no way. It's not an orange. I love oranges. And I was sitting on a bus one day heading out to a friend's house, and I ate an orange on the bus. And within 20 minutes, I had a migraine. And that is how our intuition works. It will give us the answer, and we don't always listen, and we don't always act right away. But it was a sure thing in my mind at that moment that I had better listen to my intuition when it talks to me.
Yes, and in reading your story, you heard a voice that basically, when the doctor said you're going to have these for life, the voice said no. Tell me about that voice. I think we all have that, perhaps, or we can develop it. But tell me about that voice. Was it a male, female? Do you feel like it was the voice of God? Like, how do you conceptualize that voice looking back today?
Yeah, that voice to me was a very loud voice as soon as I was told you're going to have these migraines likely for the rest of your life.
Mm.
That voice was a very loud no, like you were saying. But it was my voice. It was the voice that you hear in your head when you're just talking to yourself as you go down the street and in silence, just much like thinking. But it was very crisp and very clear to me. And so, even as a kid, kids talk back sometimes. They'd be like, no, that's not going to happen. Sorry. Like, that's their intuition talking. They
Yeah.
know the deep state, And I feel like that was me as a kid. And I never really lost that inner voice or that inner knowing that we are all innately born with and that we all have.
Yeah, I love that. And you still hear today, I don't want to say voices, but intuition, right? When you work with folks, how does that come in?
It comes in just like my thoughts. So
Mm.
when I'm working with somebody, I always say a prayer. I always pray to God, Creator, Universe, to, steer and guide me because I want the ultimate, highest and best energy and messages to come through for me to
Yeah.
help other people. And so I'll say a prayer first. And as I'm connecting with someone's body, I'm clairaudient. And so I get a lot of, just like that voice in my head when I'm thinking, I'll start to get messages like, oh, this person's neck is misaligned and it's causing, jaw pain and facial numbness, or they need to, let go of the overwhelm that they have going on in their life. But I will hear a voice in my head, if you will, which is my voice. And it's what I call our intuition, our inner knowing, our inner compass.
Wow. Okay, I know a lot of folks are very excited maybe to get some answers from you. I know your work is just really profound and very, very specific. I mean, getting into some incredible possibilities with folks. You've mentioned that sometimes it's very hard for kind of the traditional system or the matrix to get to the root cause of an imbalance. Why do you think that is, or illness, we might say? Why do you think that is? Why is it so hard for sometimes us to get to that root cause using traditional methods?
I think in my experience and with working with thousands of people, it's not that traditional medicine is wrong. It's that they've taken the body and they've compartmentalized it into different parts. And so, I think someone here said that they were hoping to get some answers about insulin and blood sugar, right?
Hmm.
And so they've taken that and they've compartmentalized that into, well, this must be diet related, or maybe it's autoimmune. But sometimes they don't see the big picture and where it began. And it could also be coming from like a toxicity that the doctor just isn't trained to look for. It could be coming from like a trauma that the person had that the doctor doesn't really consider as being a part of something that could create like an illness or an imbalance in the body. And so it's not that they're wrong. I think it's just that the whole picture isn't taken into account, if you will.
Yeah, and the thing that's very unique about you that I love is the integration of, and no one else has really done this that I know. You're like the only one that I've ever found. That's why we wanted to have you on when we found you, years ago, is you've taken this intuitive side of what we do in energy work, medical intuition, and you said, no, 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 I'm not just going to work there. I'm going to bring functional medicine into the fold. So explain that because for everyone here, Keri is extremely unique in this regard, almost like a 5D sort of future. I don't want to say futuristic, but kind of like this like melded world of energy medicine, energy awareness, intuition, and some of the medical, principles that actually are beneficial.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I like to give examples of that, but I love functional medicine. It's one of my biggest passions, and it's because it helps me to validate and verify some of the intuitive hits that I get, and sometimes it even helps me go deeper. And so
Mm,
one of the examples that I have where I blend functional medicine and intuition together, I had a client recently that was having a lot of like joint and arthritic pain in the hands, and she's quite young,
okay.
not necessarily somebody who we might think has like arthritis. And she was being told by her doctors that she had arthritis, just more like a juvenile onset arthritis.
Mm,
And when I did some intuitive work with her, I immediately knew that there was a bacterial imbalance going on in the gut, that there was bacteria in her gut that I felt were creating a leaky gut, which is where things that you eat, things that you're exposed to, can leak little particles into the bloodstream and create, an inflammation somewhere in the body. And I knew that this bacteria was creating inflammation, and so I asked her if she would be open to doing a specific GI test. And so we did that. And sure enough, we got to know exactly what bacteria it was. So my intuition was leading me to bacteria imbalance. And certainly we could go on, some supplements and some anti-stress protocols and things that affect the gut. But it was really helpful to do this GI test and realize that actually it was this specific bacteria and we knew exactly which one and what to do with it. So it's kind of like it helps to bridge the two worlds together, if you will. Um, so that's a neat example. I also had a client who recently, they've been having a lot of nerve pain around the body, and their blood work came back really high in B12. And so the doctor said, well, don't take any B12. And that's obvious, right? Like if it's too high, stop taking it. But
Hmm.
why was it too high? And why, because he wasn't really taking that much, just a recommended daily allowance. Why was it too high? And why wasn't the body using it or integrating it properly? And so, functional medicine and my intuition helped me to realized that we actually had some methylation issues, which was the way that the body is detoxifying, things we're exposed to. And, it was B12 can help kind of like connect those methylation genes. And sometimes some people cannot process the B12 enough to help their bodies detoxify. And we need to take it from a different angle. And so, it's very fun to kind of use the two together
Yeah.
and help people out that way.
Yeah, I think this is a super important thing to bring up is that while focusing on, like energetic healing is really important, if you only know energetic healing, then you might assume everything, has like only an energetic cause. But here's an example where methylation is the issue. Explain a little bit about methylation and how that works. My wife Sherry had a similar situation where she found she did not methylate, right? And so whatever supplements she was taking and everything like that, not only did it not work, it was also potentially dangerous because her body wasn't able to detox from all of that, those excess compounds, and it was really creating a strain on her body.
hmm Yeah, so there's different ways of looking at methylation, but genetically speaking, some people can have like we call them genetic SNPs in functional medicine. So some people can have the MTHFR gene, some people can have the COMT gene, COMT, and there are different methylation genes, and it depending on how your genes kind of connect, certain nutrients can certainly back up the chain. It can clog up the works. It can actually be a little bit dangerous for some people.
Mm.
Certain nutrients can overpush detoxification and cause these people to have a myriad of symptoms that can make them feel so poorly. And so, methylation really just is how we detoxify, how things move out of our body.
Yeah, and that is super important that we detoxify. Let me get to a few of the questions coming in, but first, what I'd like to do is bring up something a little unique about what you do. You don't just work with people at one level and say, "Okay, we're done." You actually bring in a lot of science that's driven by data plus intuition and orchestrate what we might call kind of like soul alignment, soul healing, sort of a wellness plan for people. Explain a little bit about that. How do you bridge the two? I mean, how do you navigate that, Keri?
Yeah, so one of the things you mentioned earlier is that some people will think that all healing is more like energetic and emotional. And I want to say that we have to remember that we're a physical body. And so
Mhm.
not only are we emotional, spiritual beings, but we're also a physical body. So much like function or much like medical, like traditional medicine, we don't want to compartmentalize, right? We don't want
Mhm.
to forget a part of our whole picture. And so, I really like to look at the whole when I work with people, be open to those intuitive messages that come through on a spiritual level and on a physical level as well. Because I think that um, that's the part that can be missing in our healing plan and in our, prescription for healing is what I call it.
Well, we're going to dive into that. One of the first steps that's super important is being able to kind of hear or see or understand the patterns and messages that that y'all's bodies right now, mine too, are putting forward. So, what types of patterns or messages do you actually see in the bodies you work with that might be called symptoms or signposts, if you will? What are some common things that show up?
That's an interesting question because I feel like everybody is so very, very different. But lately, over the last 5 years, I, I
Is this
have
since COVID
noticed.
or, related to all that?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that people are suffering a lot more from fatigue, brain fog, overwhelm, sleeping issues, almost feeling hopeless.
Mm,
Like there's a lot of overwhelm. And just like you were saying in the pre-show, how, there is just so much information, like with the meta glasses and everything. We've forgotten how to slow down. We've forgotten how to connect. And
yep.
we've forgotten our inner compass. We've forgotten to take the time to listen to things. And I think, one of the things that I really like to teach people is how to get back in touch with that because it's so important as we move forward to be able to discern what is truthful. And for us, what is truthful for us because it's not the same for everybody, and what is loving. And, what are we going to let into our field, if you will, that, are we going to let something into our field that feels stressful, or are we going to choose to maybe let the world deal with that, and we're gonna work a little bit more on love and peace and balance and happiness and joy. And so I like to teach people how to do that.
I agree with that. Now, do you see common pains or feelings in the body
Okay.
related to emotional imbalances? Is there any sort of like, I don't know, kind of a rudimentary roadmap that you tend to have noticed over the years that shows up again and again?
Yeah, a lot. Well, and so I feel like a lot of um, things that really come up when it comes to, let's say, pain, for instance. Maybe
Okay.
somebody's having pain in their back or pain in their feet or pain in their neck. Maybe it's more nerve pain. I find a huge connection to pain and self-love. And um,
Okay, everyone write that down. Pain and self-love. That is a big signpost right there. Okay,
yeah.
that's enormous.
And so, of course, there's going to be, different diamonds in the rough that it might be something different. But I think in general, I've noticed a lot of self-love, not feeling worthy, not feeling lovable, maybe being very concerned about how other people perceive them because they don't necessarily know how to love themselves fully and completely.
Mm, yes.
Um, Maybe even they love so many other people and they're quite a loving person, but they're not very nice to themselves. That's a huge one too when we're thinking about self-love. And I feel like the body can really start to feel that pain and start to
Mm,
mirror that pain and hold it in these different places that um, can cause a lot of symptoms in the body, whether it's nerve pain or muscle pain or a back that keeps going out. Maybe you find yourself at the chiropractor, twice a week or often, and you wonder, well, why do I need to keep going back? Why is it not holding? I'm doing all the right things. And it could be a lamppost, you know, a
yeah.
sign in your body that you need to look in and figure out where can I be more loving to myself? How can I love myself more? That can be
Wow.
a really big piece of a sign that I might look for.
Wow. Very interesting. What's another one? What's another signpost that you've maybe seen last week or two with clients?
Mm. I want to say that I've been working a lot with metabolic syndrome. So
Interesting. Okay.
metabolic syndrome would be things, it's like the trio. It's like high blood pressure, high cholesterol or triglycerides, and high blood sugar. And they can all come together all at once. And so a lot of people who I work with, they have a lot of I want to say like pressure on themselves, anxiety and worry. worrying about the future, worrying about, their kids, worrying about the next thing that might go wrong. So waiting for that other
Mm.
shoe to drop. But there's this low level worry, which is actually anxiety, that creates this stress or this pressure on the body. And all of those systems start to kind of um, speak, I want to say,
Mm.
go high to try and support us. Your cortisol goes up so that you can get through this worry and this stress and this daily inner dialogue. And once your cortisol goes up, your sugar goes up. And then your blood pressure can go up.
Oh.
And you might not detox as well, and your cholesterol goes up. And so I feel like that is something that I work with, that I've been working with a lot lately too.
And 100% Penny wrote in, I said 100%. She said, like the body is showing us a giant exclamation mark to get our attention. And it is, but if you don't know what's underlying that, you might say, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. Okay. Yeah, it might be helpful to change your diet. It might be helpful to exercise more. But some people do all of that and the results are minimal, yet they don't know what the root issue is. They don't know why the body is doing that. So, super important. What are some of the interesting things that you've seen happen with clients in terms of maybe resolutions or favorable outcomes? We always want to say everyone's different. We're not offering cures, etc., or medical diagnosis, treatment, or advice. But we do see some interesting shifts happen once the energy is shifted. What have you seen, Keri? And then we will go to some callers today.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I'm going to give an emotional and a physical example because I think
Okay.
it's fun to do that. I actually had a client who was dealing with um, a lot of, I want to say like cellular damage. They had a cancer diagnosis. They were working on healing and they were doing all the things. They were following traditional medicine, which, is very important. And then they were also following, change of diet, doing all the supplements, all the things that are recommended on an integrative functional level. And when they came to me, it was very clear that there was this inner stress going on. And it did turn out to be relationship stress.
Mm,
And they started to really recognize that. I feel like the body, along with like detox, because there were physical things going on too, but I feel like there was a huge shift in that person's body and their remission once they realized that and were able to work on that part of the emotional impact that that can have when our relationships are off balance or not feeding us in a very loving way. Maybe not because that's on purpose, but because we're not feeling noticed or loved. But that was a really nice, like, emotional shift. And it's like as soon as they started working that, I could feel almost like this waterfall of energy just moving through that person's body. So I
wow.
think that was a really nice way to get things flowing. Physically, uh, I had somebody with, let's see, so many examples I could like cultivate and pull from. Uh, but I did have somebody recently who was having a lot of brain fog. They were having nerve pain in their legs. They were having insomnia. Their hormones were off balance. So they were having a lot of like weight gain and just symptoms that were really hard on their body. And
Mm,
we recognized that they had gone into like a little bit of a body overload a situation where they had actually gotten sick with a virus, and all of these symptoms came after that sickness. And so our bodies can get into a little bit of a chronic like stress loop, even from like a virus. And we can take all of these immune supplements, we can take all of the things to try and get our body back into alignment. But what we recognized with her body was that her brain was stuck in a little bit of a loop. despite meditation, despite,
Hmm.
doing all the right things. And so she started to do some like cognitive behavioral therapy and brain retraining, and her body got better and better and better. So, and that was physical brain retraining, right? Like not just meditation or trying to do it on your own, but working with someone to help you.
Wow. Wow. These are some incredible stories. I know we've got so many more. And one of the things with your stories is I'm always like, well, I'm gonna make sure, I don't make a big promise in this story because some of the things that have happened have been miraculous. So I find myself kind of being like, hey, let me sort of, put something in brackets in the testimonial because I don't like to use, certain words that would get us in trouble. But there's some amazing things that have come forward with your work. So just for everyone be advised, the way Keri does this is just phenomenal, and she really makes sure that people get support. It's not just a one and done thing. That she really makes sure you know what to do to move forward. And what I want to do is maybe open the door for some people. Is I know there's a lot of folks with questions, a lot of folks wanting some support. So go ahead and raise your hand. We're going to take some callers today, and Keri, for those that haven't maybe gone live with you, is there any information you need right when folks unmute the line and come on? How does that need to proceed for you?
So first of all, I just want to say, like before we do any readings, that I do not diagnose. So I'm not going to diagnose you
Correct.
with something that Western medicine would diagnose you with. I am a big advocate that you also seek your medical doctor's opinion and testing. I think that that's really important, that it can show us a lot in the body. And so I want to say that. And then before we dive into the readings, the only thing that I ask so that we can do quick mini readings, as I call them, is that you be really specific with your questions. So if your knee is hurting, let's ask, like, my knee has been really inflamed. What is going on here? What can I do to help it? Rather than what's going on in my body today, because that's a long, scan. I
Right.
have to really scan through the whole body. And so let's be specific with our questions. And I really just need your name, and that's it.
Okay, well, we're going to go straight to Mary. We've got actually two Mary Anns. That's pretty fun. But I'm going to go to Mary Ann Perry. I'll get to you up, Mary Ann, as well. She was just clapping. So I'll get to both Mary Anns today. I promise. Okay, we can keep clapping. Mary Ann Perry, I'm going to cough here. Can you unmute? There she goes. Uh,
Hi.
s- Hi. So name I think we have, but you can clarify if needed, and then what's going on with you, and then I'll cough in the background here. Mute myself.
Okay, I've been noticing that I've been having trouble breathing um, lately, and I'm hoping that there's nothing wrong with my lungs.
Okay. And have you had a doctor listen to your lungs yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me just see here. I'm just going to connect with your body. There's a couple things that come up that I feel like are all intertwined and I want to ask you about. One of, because it's about the lungs, I do want to mention that your body does take me to the lower neck and the thoracic spine being like a little bit, it's affecting some of the dermatomes around to the lungs. So this isn't necessarily like the cause, but I want to say that it's like there's a contributor there, like as if we want to make sure that our chest is open and our lungs are expanded and everything is kind of working together. Have you been noticing any tension in that upper, like shoulders, neck, upper thoracic spine?
Yeah, I've been taking care of my neighbor, and it's been stressful.
Yeah. Oh, well, bless your heart for helping your neighbor. Sometimes that can be really hard work. Um, Do you do any chiropractic care, any massage, anything to help your spine?
Not yet, but I was thinking about that.
hmm I think it's calling to me from your body to really work on that alignment because I do feel like some of it is like a little bit of heaviness and tension, also emotionally, and we'll get to that. But I do feel like I want to work a little bit with the um, yeah, the spine and the lungs. I'm also supposed to ask you about viruses. Like, were you sick recently, or did you have a vaccine or anything like that?
No vaccines, but I did contact COVID uh,
hmm
twice.
hmm I do feel like we've got some post-viral inflammation going on as well. And so, are you supporting your lung health with any nutrients right now?
No, but I've got vitamins. Um,
Okay. So I'm going to suggest that you consider, and I don't know if you're on any medications or anything like that, so do make sure that, anything that I suggest here on the show doesn't interact with your medication. Normally it doesn't, but I'm going to suggest, I'm going to type this. Two herbs for you that are coming up. One is astragalus and one is cordyceps. Not only do they help with inflammation of the lungs, but they also help with spinal energy, adrenal energy, the brain, the kidneys, like so many things, immune system, your what we call like lung qi in Chinese medicine. And so I feel like those would be really helpful for you in helping to open up your lungs. I feel post-viral, so I mean, do go get your lungs listened to, but I do feel like some kind of like post-viral inflammation, if you will,
hmm.
and structural, definitely structural. On an emotional level, I do feel like there is a great deal of overwhelm coming, like surrounding your body. Like there's a lot going on, I feel, not just with taking care of your neighbor, but your body is talking about like maybe stress in other areas of your life too. There's a lot of worry coming up. Is that something you've been experiencing?
Well, there's been a lot of deaths and in my family
hmm
dealing with that. Um, and financial worries.
Yeah, I think I'm headed more towards like some financial worries. I do feel like grief is something that is, it can affect our lungs. It can affect the energy of the lungs. That's very much about sadness, our lungs. But there's
Mm.
this worry that your body's talking about. And I think it has more to do with that overwhelm of, um, like you said, like financial uh, coming. So, one of the things that I do feel is really helpful. Whomever whatever faith you have, whoever you pray to, God, creator, universe, I think it's really important to connect to um, what I call the universe's plan for you, God's plan for you, the creator's plan for you to um, really lean into that and trust that you are where you need to be, that you are going where you need to be, and trust that everything will be okay, that it has been okay. You always land on your feet. And so working with faith and trust is coming up for you.
That's a big thing that I was praying for yesterday.
Oh,
Wow.
so lovely. Isn't that amazing that your body's talking about that? You were praying for it.
Wow. Okay. Well, Mary, thank you. That was so thorough. I mean, so many areas covered. We'll give Keri just a second here. Thank you, Mary, for that. And let us know how all that works out. And then I'm going to go to another caller here, and I promised the other Mary Ann, who was we'll call her clapping Mary Ann. So let me add a pin there, Mary Ann. Let me unmute you here. How are you today, and how can we help you?
Oh, thank you. I feel like Marianne's twin. We're dressed in the same color, and everything you said relates to you. Thank you. So
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm really struggling with insomnia. I wake up consistently between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter when I go to bed. And I'm wondering, is it hormonal? Is it biological? Is it emotional? Because I know the body heals at night. I'm really getting into functional medicine, and I just can't sleep. So
Mm.
anything you could tell me would be much appreciated.
Yeah, so in Chinese medicine, you're waking up at the time of the liver. And in functional medicine, we always look at the liver at night as like the place that cleanses the blood and things like that. And when I connect to your body, one of the first things it talks to me about is building more nutrients in the blood. So I come to your body and I ask about like, your diet and are you missing things in your diet? And I do feel like that's a part of it. So, um, can I ask what kinds of foods you eat on a regular, or is that too personal?
No, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat any meat. So
Mm.
I struggle with protein. And 3 years ago, I went on a basically high protein keto kind of diet. I've lost 100 pounds.
Mhm.
So I don't think I've
Wow.
ever recovered from that in terms of my nutritional balance,
That's what
maybe.
I'm feeling. Like it's like we need to build nutrients up. That's what your body's talking to me. So, like blood building herbs is what I would call it in Chinese medicine, but it feels like there's this underlying background deficiency that's affecting a little bit of the way that your body is able to fall into a deep sleep. And
Mm,
you could take melatonin, you could take L-theanine and GABA and all of our sleep nutrients, but I think it's probably not going to work because your body is needing a little bit more of what we call uh like a blood it's a little bit what we call like a liver blood deficiency in Chinese medicine that I'm picking up on. And so it is quite physical and it makes sense because you did keto for so long, which congratulations. I mean, that takes a lot of grit and willpower and you had really great success. So I'm actually going to suggest a few herbs that you could look into. One being dongui. I'm going to type this.
thank you.
One being foti root and goji berries. And so
Oh,
you could actually make a tea out of these, and they're really blood nourishing and really grounding, really great for the liver. And it kind of like will anchor what we call the liver chi. And um, but yeah, this feels like it's coming from a place of deficiency rather than like overload, if that
Okay.
makes yeah.
And
And
where does one get those herbs? Like through a
you
health
can
food
get,
store?
like you can get them at a health food store. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Goji berries are also really great for the eyes. So we use them a lot for vision and they taste good. I like them. So you can make a tea
Yes.
out of them. Eating them raw doesn't do the same as making a tea. So make sure that and or you can get the capsules, but I like to just buy the dried goji berries and it's cheaper that way. You can steep them for, I bring them to a boil on the stove and then steep them for like 20 minutes and then drink the tea. And so it might take a little bit, a few weeks for you to start noticing some changes. But lots of blood nourishing. You could look up blood nourishing foods even in Chinese medicine and just omit the meat because you're a vegetarian. But there'll be some grains and some different greens that you can focus on. And I think that's what I'm going to suggest for you is just rebuilding the nutrients.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
thank you,
welcome.
Mary. How exciting. I love it. Yeah. And a lot of these things, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's a lot of suppliers on Amazon. You can get a lot of these things on Amazon. Just check that you find a reputable supplier that's, got a lot of reviews. But I used to get goju berries at HEB, which is a grocery store chain near us. I mean, it's kind of a more common thing these days, luckily. So we're in a very good place to be able to receive some of these things. And I love it. So let me go to another caller here. I think we're going to go to, one second here. Let me go to Corrine. Corrine, I'm going to send you an unmute request and I'll just pin you here if you don't mind. Hey, Corrine, what's going on?
Hi, Keri. This is Corinne.
Hi, Corinne. How are
Corinne,
you?
Corinne, you work with. So now
Yes.
you can see what I look like.
You're
So I
beautiful.
wanted you to check in on my head, like I had messaged you while you were on vacation, on what's actually going on, mostly on the right side. And Keri's wonderful, everybody. Just I'm giving her a plug.
Corinne and I have worked together for quite a while, actually, and we've gone through different seasons together, which I love.
Mhm.
And right away, I feel like I'm coming more towards like your jaw, and you didn't have any like dental work done, did you? Like a cleaning or anything?
No, but so the two things happened in the same week. I bumped my head from a year ago, when I broke my arm. I bumped the exact same area. And then I did go to the dentist that week and I do have a tooth that's bothering me. So I'm getting it all like along the temple
Hmm.
area, above the ear, and sometimes the eyes feel tired. The eye part was freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like because I was going to ask you about dental, like because I'm feeling that tooth. So
Okay.
definitely get that taken care of and
Okay.
do see a dentist for that. Absolutely. There's nothing I can tell you to do
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
fix that. Teeth are very, it's hard to get to them, right? And craniosacral. But I
Kind
feel
of
like
say,
I want to ask you, and I could obviously do it, but I feel like I need to ask you because you've bumped this spot on your head. What are you not paying attention to?
Hmm.
I'm going to have to think about that one.
It's something you don't have to answer right away, but I feel like the body is whispering to you, your intuition's whispering to you. Maybe it's life choice related, is kind of what I'm feeling, or something you're being nudged into, and it's like you're not listening. And so
Okay.
I want you to just kind of ponder that and
Okay.
listen. Hmm.
So more like muscular nerve, is that kind of what
It's
is
yeah,
the
it's
underlying of
muscular
it?
and alignment and nerve from the tooth. Like I feel like there's a few things going on there. But it's definitely, yeah, it's not because
Okay.
your digestion is off or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that would affect the eyes and even make me feel things sometimes on the left side as well?
Absolutely. So when you think about
Okay.
it, when you bump your head and maybe you have like an inflammation heading like going on in the jaw, it can pull on this side. And then so all the fascia on this side of the head starts to pull towards the other side. So that's where
Okay.
like something like cranial sacral will come in really helpful for you. Or you could also try to do a little bit of massage, just scalp massage. And I would actually massage like the jaw and the back of the head and neck, the temples, um, just to try and get some release of the fascia right now.
Okay. It's funny, I was looking at fascial work actually today in
Wow.
See, your body was
synchronicity.
telling you already.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, I think it's muscular and stuff," but when the eye starts feeling weird, I'm like, "Okay, it's right along the eye, so I think it's just making the eye tired," but, you can now ignore my email that I sent you this morning.
Okay, perfect. I was going to respond to you after the show, so here we are.
Here we
Okay, now
are.
you don't have to, so thank you for calling on me, that was lovely, and we finally got to see each other face to face.
I love it. Thank
Thank
you.
Awesome,
you.
Corrine.
Thanks,
Well,
Keri.
I'm glad you had some great success with her, and as things unfolded like this, you keep getting some support and getting to the root of things. So it's an interesting process. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go to Stephanie. Let me pin you here so everyone can see your beautiful face. Hi, Stephanie. How are you doing today? What's going on?
Hi there.
Hi, Stephanie.
Um, I think I'm generally doing pretty well, but it feels like I'm getting enough sleep usually, like at least like 6:30, 6.5 to 7 hours sleep a night. But I am and like I have an aura ring, so I know I'm getting REM sleep and deep sleep, but I'm just so exhausted during the day.
Yeah. I feel your body right away, like I'm supposed to ask you about protein. How much are you getting? Do you know?
I don't count it. I mean, I try to get enough protein, but I don't count it.
I feel like your muscles, your body, your brain are asking for maybe a little bit more, and that could be plant-based, it could be animal-based, whatever is helpful to you. But I feel like your body's needing more right now. Um, the other thing, I'm just checking in on a couple things here because, of course, we can always look at stress and the adrenals, but that doesn't feel quite right. I feel like your HRV is probably pretty good. Like, is your aura ring saying your HRV is okay?
Usually, the
Yeah.
last few days seems lower, but it's
Mhm.
normally okay.
Yeah. I'm really picking up on protein for you
Hmm.
and funny enough, like iron a little bit. So, um, iron nourishing foods, maybe some nettle tea, molasses, um, your greens, and yeah, your immune system's a little bit down as well. How long has this been going on for?
It seems like for quite a while.
At least a couple months.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I do feel like adrenal immune system. I'm going to suggest astragalus for you as well, just for like the adrenals, the immune system, energy, taking it in the beginning of the day. I think it's really just going to help give your body the energy that your mitochondria need. And like you're a little bit what I feel like is, just low in like chi or energy. I don't feel like there's something like pressing from a physical standpoint so much as like needing a little bit more protein, but I'm not feeling like, oh, it's because you need to detox this, or it's because you're overloaded in this, or it just feels quite simple and just a little tweak. I feel like you need to get your vitamin D levels checked, like as in dog. I feel like those need checking. Have you had those checked recently?
Not recently, but I do take extra vitamin D.
Okay.
Um, yes. And in fact, I've been doing a vitamin C flush right now to make sure my immune system's topped up, and it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, so do you can also add the astragalus just to top
Mhm.
up the energy of the immune system.
Okay, that sounds good.
Hmm. It's not that I feel like you're sick or even getting sick. It's just your body's just needing a little bit of a mitochondrial energy boost. Protein comes up though. It's the very first thing that your body talks about.
Interesting. Okay. Because
Mhm.
I do try to make sure I have it, but maybe it's just not enough.
Sometimes we think we're getting enough and we're not. And sometimes we get too much. But I do feel like the body is needing a little extra right now from you. It's not your sleep. You are okay there.
Yeah. I mean, I could always get more, but I don't think that's what's going on.
No, that's not it. I really feel like the tonic of astragalus resonates with your body.
So take it as a tonic or
Yeah, well, it's a tonic herb. So you could do a
oh,
tincture, you could do two capsules in the morning. It's just to help kind of rebuild your energy or your chi, which is a little deficient.
all right. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Stephanie. Amazing stuff. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm glad you're here because I can tap into some emotional things here and there. I would not tap into anything like astragalus or goju berries or fotu root or dong quai or astragalus or cordyceps or anything like that. And that is just an amazing gift that you have. So I want to ask you a question because I know a lot of people are going to see these particular things typed in the chat and be like, okay, I'm going to take that or I'm going to use that. What do you suggest there? Because we're kind of learning about these things. Would this be something that people might want to use caution, like trying to take something you're sharing for one person and then applying it to themselves, or what would you say there, Keri? I'm sure this happens a lot on shows like this.
Yeah, so it's a loaded question because I think that, everybody is so individual. That being said, a lot of the things that I've recommended are actually pretty safe with most people.
Okay.
And what I usually say to people is if you're getting like a full body yes, if you're like, gosh, that sounds like something I really need and it feels really right to you, try it on.
Mm,
Listen to your body and see how it feels. Of course, if you're taking medications of any kind, make sure that you can take those herbs with that medication. Most of the time, most medications are fine with a lot of these herbs that I've recommended. Um, but just to be safe, if you are on any, do check it. But I'd say that if and muscle testing, Linda says muscle testing works. I like to lean a little bit more on intuition because I find that muscle testing can be a little bit, if you're not hydrated enough, or if you're overly
true.
stressed, or maybe you're just a little tired that day, it can be, it can be a little bit um, sometimes less accurate for some people. It depends if you're accustomed to it. But yes, definitely muscle testing can be really helpful. But if you're getting that full body yes, I think you could try it and it would be safe for those things.
Well, what's really cool is we're going to move into a process activation where you should be getting some sort of body message, maybe a whisper, because that's what we're going to be doing, a process, right, Keri, called the body's whisper. So it's a perfect time to actually maybe get that whisper, and it's maybe going to be related to something we talked about, or hopefully something very special for you, something you need to hear, something maybe that's at the root of some issue or some imbalance or some struggle that you're going through emotionally or physically, and maybe the answer is going to come forward for you. So, Keri, tell us a little bit, just really quick, some guidance for people regarding this process. And I'll just let everyone know, do not do this while driving, operating heavy equipment. And if you are listening to us on Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, we're going to cut the streams. I really want people to listen to this on our page with the disclaimers. It's really important. You don't do these activations when you're operating equipment, driving, or doing something that requires some level of mental or physical dexterity. So we're going to cut the stream for everyone there. Y'all on Zoom, of course, you're always in the inner circle here, and it's free to join our call. So, Keri, tell us what we're going to do, and then when you're ready, let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to lead you through a process to first relax your body because your intuition, though it's always speaking to you, sometimes we just aren't relaxed enough to hear it. And I will say that sometimes we do hear it and we don't even recognize that we're hearing our intuition.
Mm.
So I'm going to walk us through a process today so that you can hear something from your body that you need an answer to. And it's a process that I love to move people through. We all have intuition. And what I want you to notice when we get to the part where you get to ask a question to your body is the very first thought that you have, or the
Mm.
very first picture that you see. Sometimes that's the visual, the clairvoyance, the very first knowing that you have, which is just, this sense of, I just know that's the answer, and or a feeling, right? Some people are very empathic, they're very clear sentient, and they have a great sense of feeling. So we're not going to try and put a lot of energy into how we want that message to come through. We're really just going to sit and be with our old friend, our body. We've been with our body for however many years we've been here, and we're old friends. We know how to talk to each other, and we're just gonna listen. That's it. We're going to notice, we're going to open our awareness, and everybody can do it. And I will say also, If you're somebody who doesn't get a message right away, practice always grows your intuition. But just notice that maybe later tonight that
Mhm.
message comes through. Maybe when you're sitting and relaxing, you've got your head on the pillow, you're about to fall asleep, and suddenly, oh, you know the answer. Sometimes these answers don't come right away. And be open to the fact that you've put in the order and you will hear the answer. So, no pressure. This is just a fun process.
I love it. All right. If you're not getting the full process activation, just click the link below. You'll see it. All right. Here we go, everyone. Let's go, Keri.
Okay.